All right, hello again on YouTube Live. This is Chris Hoffman. Along with me is photographer Dennis Lane. We are going into the city's Ridgemont neighborhood looking at streets. This is Springfield Street. We just came out of the Green Tree Office Park, now going through the Ridgemont neighborhood. This is Springfield Street. And this is kind of what we're looking at today. Some places, again, it's a lot of digging out the parking spaces. A lot of streets are looking like what we're seeing here, where this is the challenge. We have the situation where the things may be just one car wide, so then when you have two cars coming down the same road, it becomes who is moving over to get into the snow. Now, being in the Mobile Weather Lab, we have a little bit more of an ability to do that. But again, you can see the pavement, not too bad. Actually, if you're ever in the Ridgemont neighborhood, this is a really nice view near Springfield Street and Rhode Island Street, because you can see right over Mount Washington and see the top of the skyline. But as you can see, though, like, this is not a simple little hill, and actually it's in pretty good shape. Dennis, you're the one commanding the weather lab right now. How's it handling for you?
We're pretty good right now. This has actually been, of the past couple of days, this is the best we've seen streets in the city.
Yeah, Dennis has been with me a few times this week as well, so we've been out bouncing around. We were actually in Bridgeville today as well, and they were doing kind of what we've seen in the city, getting that heavy machinery out, trying to dig out the parking, especially for many people who have to use on-street parking. Yeah, in the Mobile Weather Lab here, going through the city's Ridgemont neighborhood right next to Green Tree. And again, it's pretty much a lot of this on city streets. You can actually see where like water's starting to melt and run down the hill here. Trying to figure out where that is coming from, because like what we're driving on now is actually more almost like a sheet of ice, and that's way too much water to be melting snow. That's coming from something. It's going into this drain down here, but trying to figure out where that water is actually coming from in Ridgemont, because it's not that warm. It'd be melting like that. This is actually on Hester Drive in the Ridgemont neighborhood. So we're gonna try to circle around and see if we can find like a source there. But what are streets looking like in your neighborhood? Whether you're in the city, whether you're in another municipality, whether you're in another county outside of Allegheny. Obviously, we realize a lot of people got reach on this, and a lot of people got a lot of snow. My house was probably a little over, maybe about 14 inches. I live a little east of the city. In the city, again, it was probably about a foot or so. But we know other parts got a little less if you were south. If you were north, we know some parts got almost up to 2 feet. So again, though, this is probably actually one of the worst we've seen today, but this is because of just a situation where you have actual running water coming down the street right now, and that poses a hazard because of these bitterly cold temperatures. It looks like this might be an unfortunate situation where this is coming out of someone's house. Ugh. That's unfortunate. Because it's right under someone's driveway and stuff. Yeah, that's yikes. That's just an unfortunate situation there, where it's like it looks like it's coming out of someone's property. But that is not the norm. That is purely just because of potential issues with this cold. You got running water coming down the street. Most of it has been this kind of just slush. You still have the single passing lane. Now, granted, some of these roads, even when they are totally clear and it's 75 degrees and sunny, they're still tight. So that just adds to the problem. And Dennis, I know you do volunteer firework. You're over in the Sharpsbury Aspel area. That's a challenge on a good day, let alone what's it like in weather like this.
I mean, obviously we have had some issues with getting crews in and out and stuff like that. I know our Public Works tries their best, but in a storm like this, unfortunately, Public Works even is overwhelmed, and you tip your hat to them, because they have really in this storm, all Public Works employees have really done yeoman's work, doing all the work that they have over the past couple of days, even before the storm, with all the prepping and everything. We haven't seen a storm like this in 16 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's bad, and then you put all these cold temperatures on top of it, and here we go. So
Yeah, that certainly is not what helps. Is all this bitterly cold temperatures again. Staying in, we're going to try to get out of the Ridgemont neighborhood here. We're going to get back to Green Tree Road. Fun little fact. This is actually the neighborhood my mother grew up in, an alumni of Langley High School. So, Mom, if you're watching, a little shout out there. But, back to the important thing with the roads here. This is mainly kind of what we've got going on is the parking spaces in a lot of residential streets are still, you're digging yourself out. You're putting out the parking chair. We all heard what Mayor Corey O'Connor said about that yesterday. Respect the parking chair. Don't be that guy. Don't be. I don't think I'm allowed to say the term. Yinzers would call that for taking a chair, but you know what I'm talking about. It rhymes with rag, and the second word's off, or second part of the word. But anyways, we're getting back to Green Tree Road here. Main roads, those have been fine. Those have actually been fine for days at this point. Monday, there was a little bit of slush on, but since like Tuesday, any main road has been in great shape. Maybe there's needed to be some widening, but other than that, looking pretty good. Which way you want to go, Dennis? You want to go down to the west end? You want to go towards Green Tree? What are you feeling?
Let's go down to the west end.
All right, we'll go down to the city's west end neighborhood. Go down the hill here in Green Tree Road.
Just remember, people that take chairs, they're Cleveland Browns fans. Not even Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
Oh, you went there.
I did.
You went
I
there.
did. I had to.
Oh,
As true
man.
Yinzers,
Oh,
we
man.
have to.
Oh, just taking shots now at Cleveland.
Why not?
But you can see some of the. There's gonna be a couple roads here on our right. You're gonna see here. Let's take a look here. We got a side street here coming up, and that is down to the pavement. You can see that's Junius Street in this city's Ridgemont neighborhood, and that's looking pretty good at this point. You're looking at Green Tree Road heading down from Ridgemont into the west end, and again, just people are moving along. Maybe is everything as wide as it normally is? No, but this is pretty pristine, all things considered. Like, there's no slush, there's no ice in the middle of the road. It is purely pavement we are on. The city continues to try to hit secondary, tertiary roads. Municipalities all over the region, especially those with tighter streets, are hauling snow out. We were told just in the city they have removed 15,000 tons. Now, where that snow is going, some of it's going to that Hazelwood Green area. Some of it's there is like a city forestry division kind of near the zoo, and there's just piles. The best description I could put for how these piles look, and seeing video of it, would be the equivalent of if you've ever gone down the Mon Valley and you've seen those coal piles near the steel facilities. That's what it looks like. There's just these gigantic mounds of snow sitting in some of these plots right now, and it's going to be months before those melt away. When we were in, where were we? Bridgeville today. We were talking to the public works director, and he says they're putting out their storage yard because that's where they were dumping it. And again, it's just one of those things where they're trying to get these parking spots opened up. Many people don't have driveways in some of these neighborhoods, so they have to use on-street parking. Again, feel free to tell us what you're seeing in your neighborhood in the comments. We have been in several neighborhoods this week. We've been in West End. We were just today, we were in West End, Sheridan, Marshall, Shadeland, Ridgemont over there, California, Kirkbride, Brighton Heights. That's just today. We've been driving around. And we also went down to Bridgeville. We were in Sharpsburg yesterday, along with Carrick, Homewood. Been in Troy Hill. So we've seen several, Mount Washington, several city neighborhoods. Excuse me there. But we've seen the efforts of what's trying to help. A big win for the city today that they were talking about earlier was the money that they are getting from UPMC to help replace vehicles, get new vehicles. And now obviously that's not going to be here in time to take care of all this, but future storms, that should hopefully help with getting snow removal. And also, not to be downplayed, they're also getting new ambulances and everything, because that's certainly a challenge for our first responders is getting around this. As much as we have to drive in it as news, as people that live in these neighborhoods, first responders have to get around in this. And just because they have first responder vehicles doesn't mean they don't have to deal with situations of slush, ice, snow. What you're looking right now is Alexander Street as we're going through the West End. We'll head back to, what do you think, Dennis? You want to head down, maybe head toward West Carson, East Carson, maybe get on there a little bit? Yeah, we'll do that. Again, what are you seeing in your neighborhood? We thank you for tuning in once again live. You're in the KDKA Mobile Weather Lab. And Dennis, you've been with me for a few days this weekend, even not just with me, but overall, you've had a drive in this. Throughout the city, other parts of our region, how have you seen the roads improving since Sunday when Mother Nature just, kicked us in the face?
It's been a challenge, obviously, but I think again, Public Works and all the municipalities and everything has really stepped it up and did their due diligence in their jobs. I mean, you can tell a lot of them, they've done what they needed to do to get the job done, and tip of the hat to them, because I mean, we're a couple of days out from this storm, and look how good we already look. And they're going to be continuing. I know we were down in Bridgeville a little earlier, and they said they're actually going to be working all weekend long to clear up this. And you got to think of how many other public works departments are going to be all weekend long saying, let's go to work, let's have some fun. Yeah, granted it's overtime and everything, but these guys have been putting in a lot of work.
And running inside, outside. I mean, I know.
I mean, this
get
cold's got to be.
That, but they got to do. They're putting in hard laborious work, running in and out of the cold.
Amen.
So yeah, they've definitely been putting in, like you were saying earlier, that yeoman's work trying to get all of this cleaned up. Obviously, that even goes to PennDOT as well. Some of these roads around our region, you've seen, if you've been on any of our highways, you've seen how those look at this point. For the most part, you can get from A to B if you've got to, be on an interstate or a 28 or 65, 51, whatever. Insert whatever state route you take. But what are you seeing? Again, in your neighborhood, we're about to approach the West End Bridge here. So we're going to be sitting in that West End Circle traffic. The fun that is the lights. If you've ever had to sit through that, I've had the pleasure of that many times, and you can tell the excitement I have sitting at the red lights around here. Well, we're headed over toward the North Side, North Shore area. Those are areas that have been, again, everywhere digging out, everywhere, just about everywhere has on-street parking. So that's been the challenge is, out of those spaces. There's been a focus on commercial districts. We've seen the Strip District. They've gone cleaned up. We were on Walnut Street and Shady Side. They got that taken care of. Going through Lawrenceville, there was parts. It was, Walnut Street's tight on, I think, a good day, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem, too. Some things, are on a good day, it's tight, let alone if you have a little bit of snow, that's not going to help things along. But they did get some of that cleaned up. We went through Lawrenceville where they had that cleaned up a little bit. What was the other commercial district? Well, we've also seen people taking it into their own hands. On Mount Washington, we talked to a business yesterday. They went out and rented equipment because they understand the challenges the city's facing, so they went and took upon themselves to start digging out and get their spaces cleared. Again, if you're joining us live here on YouTube, we are in the Mobile Weather Lab. We are sitting in the West End Circle, about to go over the West End Bridge, heading towards the north side here. And again, so, at this point, primary roads, your main roads, you're in good shape. If you got to get out on those, great. You're in good shape. Secondaries are, they're coming along. For the most part, they're very passable. Very few have we seen issues where it hasn't been touched in days and you still have just ruts sitting there. Tertiary, that's where it can be a little bit of a mix. Some of your alleyways, some of those have not been touched. Now, if they haven't been touched, they've appeared to be ones where you might have a car back there or a singular garage back there, not a heavy traffic alley. Others have been touched but maybe are just the ruts right now and need a little bit more salt. Obviously, salt has become an issue for many communities. I know my community, they put on the borough website saying they are waiting on a delivery of 300 tons of salt. I mean, so we still have some, but they are waiting on more to come, so they've been in conservation mode. So when I left my house this morning, my road's been plowed, but I live on a brick street where it's just that thin layer of snow on it. We haven't had salt come by yet, so pulling it out of the driveway can be a little slick. So many communities are in that salt problem where they had put in orders and the salt hadn't gotten here yet, and you had the problem of a foot of snow. So that's a perfect storm for yikes. We're going over the West End Bridge now. This is clear as can be of snow. Problem is now the rush hour traffic, but that's a different problem. The rivers, they are frozen over. I'm looking right at the point, and you have the Allegheny River that is frozen solid, and even the Mon, there's a channel for boats, but there's plenty of ice forming on that. And let's be real, when the Mon freezes, it is cold based on it's coming from the south. The Allegheny comes from the north, so it's always going to run a little bit colder. As we head over to the north side here, coming over the West End Bridge, maybe just a couple little wet spots here, but nothing, no real slush, no real snow on there. And again, what are you seeing in your neighborhood? Feel free to leave those in the comments. We've been appreciating everyone tuning into these as we try to expand our media footprint beyond just linear television. We've been trying to get into the digital realm a little bit more here. That's why we've been diving into the YouTube Live. Trying to take advantage of what we can do here in the mobile weather lab. We are on Western Avenue, about to pass Pittsburgh Police Headquarters over on the north side of town. And again, with this being a bit of a more major street, it's open. Now you can see the opposite direction from us. It's usually actually 2 lanes. They need to do a little bit more digging out of the quote-unquote slow lane. This would definitely be an alleyway here off of Western, and you can see here, passable. Pristine? No. Can you drive on it? Yes. Do you have to be a little bit more cautious? Absolutely. Looking at Page Street here on our left, this is a little bit more dicey. Definitely, it's a little bit more slush. Probably could use a little bit of salt, and that's what crews are trying to do. Mayor Corey O'Connor is saying that they keep the crews out, they're keeping the contractors out there, continuing to plow. The city crews doing more of the plowing and the salting. Contractors have been doing more of the hauling the snow away. And this is where it can get a little bit tricky too. Like some of these intersections where you've got that snow kind of just getting compressed down, where obviously a plow came through, it creates that little snow wall, but then as people drive through, you get all that snow and slush just kind of building up in the middle of the intersection. So you still have that going on a little bit, but for the most part, if you've got to get out, you can. Is every single street perfect? No. Is there definitely some, as I say this, that probably are more of a challenge? Yeah, here's an example of one that could use a little bit of work. What is this? This is come on, map, you're gonna give it to me here. Let me try again. It is Manhattan Street. This is Manhattan Street over in the Manchester neighborhood, and again, you can see where the ruts have kind of formed. Obviously it had been plowed, but man, this one's a little rough here. North Avenue could use a little bit of love. Well, to our right's okay. To our left, this is definitely the reminiscence of, there was a pile of snow here that probably definitely came from a plow coming through, created that snow wall, and then as people drove through it, it creates just a big slush mess. You can see some of the versions of parking chairs. You saw a traffic cone. You saw someone use like little lanterns. Again, Mayor Corey O'Connor saying, jokingly, but there's some truth to it. Try to respect it. People have dug out their spaces. They put in a lot of work, a lot of effort to do that. So kind of try to respect it if you can. Here's an example of where our snow is just kind of sitting on the side lane here. Kind of looks like it's been plowed, but actually this looks like an example of where a truck had actually come through recently to make this wider. This is actually an example here. We're on Sheffield, I think. Yeah, we're on Sheffield Avenue, or Sheffield Street, that is, in the Manchester neighborhood, that is. And you can see how, again, it's the, you can get through here, but you're going to have to do that little dance if someone's coming the opposite way, because it's just about a single pass through. You can see where people have had to dig out. Again, more of the parking chairs. But this is kind of what we're dealing with now. At this point, it's more of the work is going to have to keep happening to get the slush out of here, widen what is open, and get these piles out of here. Now that's where the contractors have been coming in, is trying to get these snow banks out of here, but that is a Herculean task, pretty much. I mean, the city maintains about 1,200 miles of road, and much of that is stuff like this, residential blocks where, you know, I mean, you're moving how many tons of snow already? The city's moved 15,000 tons. That's just millions of pounds of snow. Now we're coming up on 5:20. We were about to wrap this up. Once again, we thank you for tuning in on YouTube Live as we've been taking you through city streets here, looking at what is cleared, what the situation is with snow. This is a prime example of what happens when you have that like kind of just single pass available. It's kind of the got to do the little dance of who's going to let who go on Sheffield Street in the Manchester neighborhood. Chris Hoffman again for Dennis Lane. We all appreciate you joining us, and thank you again, and be sure to leave in the comments what you're seeing in your neighborhood.